In the bustling landscape of fast food chains, one name stands out as a beacon of fried chicken goodness: Kentucky Fried Chicken, better known as KFC. It is not just a fast food chain. It's a global phenomenon that has captured the taste buds and imaginations of millions worldwide. It is the world's second largest restaurant chain, as measured by sales, in over 145 countries. With its iconic red and white stripes and the affable image of Colonel Harland Sanders, KFC has carved a niche for itself in the of millions worldwide. Let's keep the good vibes going. Which successful business owners or crazy new ideas do you think we should cover next? Tell us in the comments. KFC was founded by Colonel Harland Sanders, an entrepreneur who began selling fried chicken from his roadside restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky, during the Great Depression. Sanders identified the potential of the restaurant franchising concept, and the first Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise opened in Salt Lake City, Utah, in 1952. KFC popularized chicken in the fast food industry, diversifying the market by challenging the established dominance of the hamburger. By branding himself as Colonel Sanders, Harland became a prominent figure of American cultural history, and his image remains widely used in KFC advertising to this day. However, the company's rapid expansion overwhelmed the aging Sanders, and he sold it to a group of investors led by John Y. Brown Jr. and Jack C. Massey in 1964. KFC was one of the first American fast food chains to expand internationally, opening outlets in Canada, the United Kingdom, Mexico, and Jamaica by the mid-1960s. In the early 1970s, KFC was sold to the spirits distributor Heiblein, which was taken over by the R.J. Reynolds Food and Tobacco conglomerate. That company sold the chain to PepsiCo. The chain continued to expand overseas, however, and in 1987, it became the first Western restaurant chain to open in China. It has since expanded rapidly in China, which is now the company's single largest market. PepsiCo spun off its restaurants division as Tricon Global Restaurants, which later changed its name to Yum Brands. KFC's original product is pressure-fried chicken pieces, seasoned with Sanders' signature recipe of 11 herbs and spices. The constituents of the recipe are a trade secret. Larger portions of fried chicken are served in a cardboard bucket, which has become a feature of the chain since it was first introduced by franchisee Pete Harmon in 1957. Since the early 1990s, KFC has expanded its menu to offer other chicken products such as chicken fillet sandwiches and wraps, as well as salads and side dishes such as French fries and coleslaw, desserts and soft drinks, the latter often supplied by PepsiCo. KFC is known for its slogans, "It's finger-lickin' good," "Nobody does chicken like KFC and so good."
See, I started franchising when I was 66 years old. Don't quit because you're 65. The same company that I sold for $2 million sold for $240 million yesterday.
Harland Sanders was born in 1890 and raised on a farm outside Henryville, Indiana, near Louisville, Kentucky. When Sanders was 5 years old, his father died, forcing his mother to work at a canning plant. This left Sanders, as the eldest son, to care for his two younger siblings. After he reached 7 years of age, his mother taught him how to cook. After leaving the family home at the age of 13, Sanders passed through several professions with mixed success. He is counted among the entrepreneurs who embarked on their entrepreneurial journey later in life, yet led a remarkably inspiring life. At the age of 62, typically a time when many contemplate retirement, Colonel Harland Sanders established KFC. Sanders initiated his first entrepreneurial venture at the age of 30, establishing a ferryboat service over the Ohio River. Unfortunately, the construction of a nearby bridge rendered his service obsolete. Despite facing setbacks, Sanders remained undeterred in his enthusiasm for hard work. He famously wrote in his autobiography, "I only have two rules: do all you can, and do the best you can." In 1927, Sanders assumed management of a Standard Oil gas station in Nicholasville, Kentucky. However, with the onset of the Great Depression, he was compelled to close it down in 1930. Despite its failure, the gas station business served as the seed for the eventual growth of the KFC empire. In 1930, Sanders took over a Shell filling station on U.S. Route 25 just outside North Corbin, Kentucky, a small town on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. It was here that he first served to travelers the recipes that he had learned as a child: fried chicken and other dishes, such as steaks and country ham. The start of the KFC franchise can be traced back to Sanders feeding travelers at a service station in Corbin, Kentucky in 1930. After the success of his country ham and steak dinner, that is opened, Sanders Cafe had begun to serve chicken fried in an iron skillet. This eventually led to the KFC we know today. As demand for his chicken grew, Sanders faced the challenge of keeping up with orders while maintaining the quality of his product. It was during this time that he perfected his cooking technique, using a pressure fryer to ensure that each piece of chicken was cooked to perfection, crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside. After 4 years of serving from his own dining room table, Sanders purchased the larger filling station on the other side of the road and expanded it to 6 tables. By 1936, this had proven successful enough for Sanders to be given the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel by Governor Ruby LaFoon. In 1937, he expanded his restaurant to 142 seats and added a motel he purchased across the street, naming it Sanders Court and Cafe. Sanders was unhappy with the 35 minutes it took to prepare his chicken in an iron frying pan, but he refused to deep fry the chicken, which he believed lowered the quality of the product. If he pre-cooked the chicken in advance of orders, there was sometimes wastage at day's end. In 1939, the first commercial pressure cookers were released onto the market, mostly designed for steaming vegetables. Sanders bought one and modified it into a pressure fryer, which he then used to fry chicken. The new method reduced production time to be comparable with deep frying, while, in the opinion of Sanders, retaining the quality of pan-fried chicken. In July 1940, Sanders finalized what came to be known as his original recipe of 11 herbs and spices. Although he never publicly revealed the recipe, he said the ingredients included salt and pepper and that the rest stand on everybody's shelf. After being recommissioned as a Kentucky colonel in 1950 by Governor Lawrence Weatherby, Sanders began to dress the part, growing a goatee, wearing a black frock coat, later switched to a white suit, and a string tie, and referring to himself as the Colonel. His associates went along with the title change, jokingly at first and then in earnest. In 1952, Sanders franchised his recipe to his friend Pete Harmon of South Salt Lake, Utah, the operator of one of the city's largest restaurants. The Sanders Court and Cafe generally served travelers. So when the route planned in 1955 for Interstate 75 bypassed his properties, Sanders sold them and traveled the U.S. to franchise his recipe to restaurant owners. Independent restaurants would pay 4, later 5 cents on each chicken as a franchise fee in exchange for Sanders's recipe and the right to feature it on their menus and use his name and likeness for promotional purposes. Don Anderson, a sign painter hired by Harmon, coined the name Kentucky Fried Chicken. For Harmon, the addition of KFC was a way of differentiating his restaurant from competitors. A product from Kentucky was exotic and evoked imagery of Southern hospitality. Harmon trademarked the phrase, "It's finger-lickin' good," which eventually became the company's slogan. He also introduced the bucket meal in 1957, which included 14 pieces of chicken, 5 bread rolls, and a pint of gravy in a cardboard bucket. Serving their signature meal in a paper bucket was to become an iconic feature of the company. By 1963, there were 600 KFC restaurants, making the company the largest fast food operation in the United States. KFC popularized chicken in the fast food industry, diversifying the market by challenging the dominance of the hamburger. With significant growth in town, the fledgling Kentucky Fried Chicken decided in 1964 that they would begin offering franchise opportunities beyond the Atlantic, and landed on the United Kingdom as its entry point into Europe. As such, the first British KFC eatery opened its doors at 92 Fishergate in Preston, Lancashire on May 1, 1965, and still operates today. Pat Grace met with Sanders at his holiday home near Toronto, and agreed to franchise the brand in Ireland. In 1970, Grace returned to Ireland after a number of years in Canada to open his first Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants in Phibsborough Shopping Centre in Dublin. Eventually, he opened another 6 restaurants located in Dublin, Limerick, and Cork. After disagreements over cost-cutting with KFC management in the early 1980s, the Irish restaurants were renamed to Pat Grace's famous fried chicken, reportedly retaining the original recipe. These stores were closed in the late 1980s. Pat Grace went on to wholesale the chicken spice blend under the brand Grace's Perfect Blend. In 1964, Sanders sold KFC to a group of investors led by John Y. Brown Jr. and Jack C. Massey for $2 million, around $20 million today. The contract included a lifetime salary for Sanders and the agreement that he would be the company's quality controller and trademark. The chain had reached 3,000 outlets in 48 countries by 1970.
I was 10 years old at that time. Got $2 a month in my board and room. So at the end of that first month, he fired me. I felt just about as low as anybody could have ever felt. And I made a resolve then. I was sure going to prove to her that I was worthy of it.
In July 1971, Brown sold the company to the Connecticut-based Heublein, a packaged food and drinks corporation, for $285 million. Sanders died in 1980, his promotional work making him a prominent figure in American cultural history. By the time of his death, there were an estimated 6,000 KFC outlets in 48 countries worldwide, with $2 billion worth of sales annually. In 1982, Heublein was acquired by R.J. Reynolds, the tobacco giant. In July 1986, Reynolds announced the sale of KFC to PepsiCo for $850 million. The actual sale took place in early October for $840 million. PepsiCo made the chain a part of its restaurants division alongside Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. KFC entered the Chinese market in November 1987 with an outlet in Beijing. During the early 1990s, several major product launches proved highly successful, including the introduction of spicy hot wings in 1990, popcorn chicken in 1992, and internationally, the debut of the Zinger, a spicy chicken fillet sandwich, in 1993. By 1994, KFC boasted 5,149 outlets in the U.S. and a total of 9,407 worldwide, employing over 100,000 individuals. In August 1997, PepsiCo executed a spin-off of its restaurants division as a public company valued at $4.5 billion. This new entity, named Tricon Global Restaurants, comprised 30,000 outlets and generated annual sales of $10 billion, ranking as the second largest food chain globally at that time. Subsequently, in May 2002, Tricon underwent a name change to become Yum Brands. On March 31, 2011, Chrism, owner of KFC in Canada, went into bankruptcy protection in Ontario and British Columbia. By 2015, KFC found itself in a challenging position, having experienced a decline in business amidst stiff competition from other retailers. Furthermore, it had been overtaken by Chick-fil-A as the leading chicken retailer in the U.S. 3 years earlier. To address these setbacks, the company initiated a comprehensive strategy aimed at revitalizing its brand image and boosting its appeal to consumers. This strategy involved a multifaceted approach, including the overhaul of its packaging, decor, and uniforms, as well as the expansion of its menu offerings. Moreover, starting in May 2015, KFC embarked on a new advertising campaign in the U.S., featuring Darrell Hammond in the role of Colonel Sanders. Subsequently, a planned rotation of actors, including Norm Macdonald, Jim Gaffigan, George Hamilton, and Rob Riggle, portrayed Sanders in similar advertisements until the fall of 2016. In a groundbreaking move, in January 2018, KFC enlisted country music icon Reba McEntire to portray the first female Colonel Sanders, signaling the company's commitment to innovation and diversity in its marketing efforts. Before leaving as CEO in 2021, Andrea Zahumensky told Ad Age the brand assets that we're so lucky to have were the bucket, the 3 stripes, and the full name, Kentucky Fried Chicken. All of these were being used more by the chain. Australia rebranded KFC back to its original name, Kentucky Fried Chicken, in 2019. KFC's core product offering is pressure-fried on-the-bone chicken pieces, seasoned with Colonel Harland Sanders' original recipe of 11 herbs and spices. The product is typically available in either 2 or 3-piece individual servings, or in a family-size cardboard bucket, typically holding between 6 and 16 chicken pieces. In territories that followed the system handed down by Colonel Sanders, such as Canada and the UK, each chicken is divided into 9 different cuts, which include 2 drumsticks, 2 thighs, 2 wings, 2 breast pieces, and 1 keel. However, the United States now uses an 8-piece cut. The chicken is hand-breaded at individual KFC outlets, with wheat flour mixed with seasoning in a 2 to 4 minute process. It is then pressure fried for between 7 and 10 minutes, the timing differs between countries, in oil at 185 degrees Celsius. Following this, the chicken is left to stand for 5 minutes in order for it to sufficiently cool before it is placed in the warming oven. It is KFC policy to discard chicken if it has not been sold within 90 minutes in order to ensure freshness. The frying oil varies regionally, and versions used include sunflower, soybean, rapeseed, and palm oil. A KFC executive stated that the taste of the chicken will vary between regions depending on the oil variety used, and whether the chicken has been corn-fed or wheat-fed. As well as its core chicken on the bone offering, KFC's major products include chicken burgers, including the Zinger and the Tower, wraps, and a variety of finger foods, including crispy chicken strips and hot wings. Popcorn chicken, which consists of bite-sized pieces of fried chicken, is one of the most widely available KFC products. In some locations, such as in Australia, Belarus, Malaysia, and South Africa, chicken nuggets are also sold. In 2012, the KFC AM breakfast menu began to be rolled out internationally, including such items as pancakes, waffles, and porridge, as well as fried chicken. On August 27, 2019, KFC tested meatless, boneless wings and nuggets in Atlanta, Georgia. In February 2023, Kentucky Fried Chicken in Australia announced that several items would no longer be sold in their menu, including wings, popcorn chicken, Nashville hot sauce, and strawberry lemonade. Sanders' original recipe of 11 herbs and spices is one of the best-known trade secrets in the catering industry. The recipe is not patented because patent law requires public disclosure of an invention and provides protection only for a strictly limited term, whereas trade secrets can remain the intellectual property of their holders in perpetuity. A copy of the recipe, signed by Sanders, is held inside a safe inside a vault in KFC's Louisville headquarters, along with 11 vials containing the herbs and spices.
This was the first service station that I had. Then there's a small kitchen about 8 foot square. After I was here about 30 days, I moved the old dining room table out, don't you see, and the 6 chairs. Well, I didn't know anything about the restaurant business. But I don't care if I had truck drivers sitting down there and here come a doctor. I didn't know who he was. I thought everybody could eat at the same table. I didn't know anything, only be friendly. So that was my first restaurant.
KFC adapts its menu internationally to suit regional tastes, and there are over 300 KFC menu items. Some locations, such as the UK and the US, sell grilled chicken. In predominantly Islamic countries, the chicken served is halal. In Asia, there is a preference for spicy foods, such as the Zinger chicken burger. In many international markets, the seasoning used for the core chicken pieces product is available as a hot and spicy version, as an alternative to the classic KFC recipe. The hot and spicy coating, as well as having a spicier flavor, also has a crispy consistency. In Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, a grilled chicken known as smoky red is available. KFC locations in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Vietnam offer a roasted option known as flava crava. KFC's menu in China includes, among other items, incorporating Chinese food items, rice bowls, noodle dishes, and chicken prepared in the style of Peking duck. Some locations in the US sell fried chicken livers and gizzards. A small number of US outlets offer an all-you-can-eat buffet option with a limited menu. Value menu items are sold under the Streetwise name in locations such as Canada, Nigeria, South Africa, and Mauritius. Side dishes often include French fries, coleslaw, barbecue baked beans, corn on the cob, mashed potato, bread rolls, and American biscuits. Salads include the bean salad, the Caesar salad, and the garden salad. In a number of territories, KFC sells onion rings. In most of Asia, several sub-Saharan Africa and Pacific markets, rice-based side dishes are often sold. In Greece and Bulgaria, potato wedges are sold instead of French fries. In a number of Eastern European locations and Portugal, beer is offered in addition to soft drinks. In 2023, KFC branches in the UK and Ireland introduced new signature fries, which are basically fries coated in herbs and spice in an attempt to improve the taste of the fries. KFC initially used stovetop covered cooking pots to fry its chicken. In the 1960s, the officially recommended model was the LS Hartzog, developed KFC 20-head cooker, a large device that cost $16,000. The Hartzog model had no oil filtration system, meaning that filtering had to be done manually, and the pressure fryers occasionally exploded, often harming employees. In 1969, inventor and engineer Winston L. Shelton developed the Collectromatic pressure fryer to overcome the problems KFC faced in quickly frying chicken to meet growing customer demand. The Collectromatic used precision time and temperature controls and self-filtered the cooking oil, all while meeting Colonel Sanders' high standards. There's no way KFC could have grown as it did without the Collectromatic. Stores were doing about $200,000 a year in sales on average with the pots, but they could never have done the $900,000 a year it became without Wynn's fryer. From 2013 onwards, KFC has been transitioning from using Collectromatic cookers to pressure fryers produced by Henny Penny, which supplies KFC with various equipment. The Velocity series of pressure fryers includes increased load capacity, automatic oil filtration, and increased oil longevity. Colonel Sanders was a key component of KFC advertising until his death in 1980. Despite his death, Sanders remains a key icon of the company as an international symbol of hospitality. Early official slogans for the company included North America's hospitality dish from 1956 and We fix Sunday dinner 7 nights a week. The finger-lickin' good slogan was used from 1956 and went on to become one of the best-known slogans of the 20th century. The trademark expired in the US in 2006. The first KFC logo was introduced in 1952 and featured a Kentucky Fried Chicken typeface and a logo of the Colonel. In 1962, Dave Thomas took Colonel Sanders' bucket and turned it into a sign that revolved in a circular motion in front of almost every American KFC outlet. Advertising played a key role at KFC after it was sold by Sanders, and the company began to advertise on U.S. television with a budget of $4 million in 1966. In order to fund nationwide advertising campaigns, the Kentucky Fried Chicken Advertising Co-op was established, giving franchisees 10 votes and the company 3 when deciding on budgets and campaigns. In 1969, KFC hired its first national advertising agency, Leo Burnett. A notable Burnett campaign in 1972 was the Get a Bucket of Chicken, Have a Barrel of Fun jingle. Through franchising, KFC was able to tap into local markets and adapt its menu to suit regional tastes, further solidifying its status as a beloved fast food chain. From the streets of New York City to the beaches of California, KFC became a household name, synonymous with finger-lickin', good chicken and Southern hospitality. Beyond its delicious chicken, KFC's success can also be attributed to its innovative marketing strategies. From the iconic image of Colonel Sanders to its catchy slogans and memorable advertising campaigns, KFC has masterfully crafted a brand identity that resonates with consumers of all ages. Whether it's the Colonel's jovial demeanor or the promise of crispy golden goodness, KFC's marketing efforts have helped it stand out in a crowded marketplace. Through television commercials, social media engagement, and celebrity endorsements, KFC continues to captivate audiences and drive sales worldwide. The story of KFC and Colonel Sanders, it's a testament to the power of perseverance, innovation, and culinary excellence. From humble beginnings in a small-town diner to a global fast food empire, KFC has become synonymous with delicious fried chicken, and the Colonel's secret recipe remains a closely guarded symbol of the brand's heritage and success. As KFC continues to evolve and expand its reach, one thing remains certain, that the Colonel's legacy will endure for generations to come. To sum up the video, it is quite obvious. As long as there are hungry customers craving delicious fried chicken, KFC will continue to thrive, serving up smiles and satisfaction, one crispy piece at a time. So the next time you find yourself in need of a tasty meal on the go, why not treat yourself to some finger-licking goodness from KFC? After all, there's nothing quite like the original. Thanks for joining us on this epic rise. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's story. What did you find most inspiring? Let us know in the comments below.